to or welcome back to the Radiantly Crown podcast. I am your host, Tiffany the Diamond, and if you've come across my channel, you are more than likely on a mission to find the most important person in your life. And sis, that's you. And today I am so excited. I have a guest with me. I'm live and I have a guest with me. I am so excited. I am more than honored to have this lady here with me. She is my business coach. She is the owner, the CEO and owner of four businesses, one being bossbabeblog.com, in which I am a directory member. And today we're going to be talking about recognizing toxic behaviors in unhealed individuals and how do you recognize those and what do you do to get out of those situations. Um, I'm gonna let her tell y'all more about herself, what she does, and all of her accolades. Miss Katan?
Hello, Tiffany. Thank you so much for having me. I would first like to say thank you for allowing me to be on your platform. Um, and I'm really excited about today's conversation. So, I talk about how to recognize toxic behaviors in unhealed individuals. And before we start with recognizing those behaviors, I want to first say that everyone, well, almost everyone to an extent, I would say, has parts of their life that they're still healing and still working through, no matter what level of healing they're on. Now, there might be some people who feel like they are completely healed. And, I'll leave that to them or whoever to feel or decide on if they feel like that is correct. But what I feel is that we're all on different levels in our life. So when I say the word unhealed, it is not a negative connotation. It simply means someone that has something that has not been attended to or has not been loved on properly. So it's still sitting there, that wound that's still open that needs to be closed and nursed. So that's what I mean when I say unhealed. And that's why I wanted to start off with that introduction, because I don't want anyone to hear that and then hear me talk about these toxic behaviors and feel defensive or feel shameful or feel like they're being judged, because the reality is that to an extent, sometime in point in our life, we have exhibited some of these behaviors or some kind of behaviors that came from an unhealed place if you went through or experienced any trauma. So I want to start with that. Secondly, I want to move into how to recognize some of these toxic behaviors. So one of the biggest things that I've noticed when people are unhealed is whatever it was that they felt like they didn't get, they kind of try to demand it in their adulthood in an unhealthy way or in unhealthy ways. For example, let's say that as a child, a person didn't ever feel secure because um, they were never given attention. So as an adult, they take every opportunity that they can to try to get people's attention, even if it's not in a positive way. Sometimes it's with them doing things to themselves that disrespects their own worth and value. And sometimes it's with them doing something to somebody else because it makes them feel better and it brings the attention to them. And sometimes it's not even intentional that someone else happens to be caught in the crossfire. But I've noticed individuals who grew up in homes where they didn't get that attention, they didn't get that love, that validation. When they step into rooms, it's like they have to try harder, like 10 times harder, to get people to acknowledge them and to love on them or even to see them. And they have to do that because they're seeking that external validation. People who grew up feeling lonely tend to feel like they have to have a crowd or people around them in order to feel whole, in order to feel like, they're worth something. People who grew up in environments where they had no control tend to grow up and want even more control because they don't want that feeling of worrying about giving that control to someone else and the fear of the unknown. And so there's a lot of behaviors that stem from childhood. And what you have to realize is that sometimes when people do and say things to you, they are seeking a reaction. They're needing it. They're feeding off of that reaction. So you don't have to be mad and you don't have to be angry, but you can practice recognizing these traits better so that when you see them, instead of you being upset or irritated or even being moved by someone else's unhealedness, you recognize, oh, that's what that is. That's that wound that was never closed off. And when you start to recognize what that is, you realize that that has nothing to do with you. Therefore, because someone else has a wound doesn't mean that you now need to cut yourself. And a lot of times it's hard to recognize that in real time. So when you're dealing with a person who is argumentative, all they want to do is argue, all they want is a problem. They have wounds that have not been closed and healed. And when they're around you, they're hoping that you're going to stoop down and start cutting yourself so that you can be in the same place that they are. So, the same way they're being argumentative and they're waiting for you to give them that reaction and that response, they're waiting. They're waiting for you to pick up that knife and start cutting on yourself the same way that they have been doing or had done to them. And that is just sometimes a sad truth for people who are going through trauma. And that's not everyone. I also don't want to put the connotation that people who have gone through trauma are all out here intentionally harming or hurting people, because there are plenty of people who are very aware that they've gone through negative things and they work hard every day to reverse their mind frame, and also to be aware of how they're treating other people and to communicate things that they've been through. So I also don't want to create that narrative, because even I myself have gone through things, but I practice awareness to say this might be something that you're just putting in your head because of what you experienced in the past. So try not to make sure that try to make sure you're not projecting that onto the next person. So that's not everyone. But sometimes when people are bleeding, it gets on you.
Yeah.
And they're not always doing it intentionally. And what you have to come down to is to understand that it doesn't matter regardless. That's a hard conclusion to come to, because when you care about people, when you humanize people, you think in your mind, well, they had a rough childhood, well, he went through this and he went through that, and he does love me and he is nice to me and she is kind to me and she does, do nice things for me, and she did cook me breakfast this morning, but then she knocked you upside your head this evening. So we can't ignore we can't ignore the reality, and we can also accept that people are two things can coexist. A person can be a beautiful soul or someone worthy of love and affection, but they can also be very unhealthy and almost like a kryptonite to you, or your Achilles heel in a not so good way. So when these things are happening to you, you have to, I know that was a crazy analogy, but it's true. Um, but when these things are happening to you, you have to make that decision of, I know that I love this person and I know that I want to humanize them and I want to empathize with them, but me having empathy for them does not change the fact that I have standards for myself. So, yes, I understand that you have gone through some really tough things. I understand you had a childhood where everything was an argument, and you've grown up now feeling like in order for people to care about you, your engaging has to be negative and aggressive. I understand that now. But does that mean that I justify that and continue to be in your presence when I see that this is moving my spirit in a negative way? No, because that's where people bleeding on you happens. So when you start to see those behaviors, you have to call those behaviors out directly sometimes, and sometimes you have to ignore them depending on what the situation is. I'm not a professional. I have a certification in professional counseling. I'm not a professional when it comes to counseling or therapy. Um, and I don't practice life coaching specifically. However, in my field, I have had to have a lot of conversations with people about different areas of their life, because what I saw is that when you are experiencing things in a negative way, emotionally and mentally, it bleeds into your business and into your aspirations. So I'm not here to give people the say so on what you should or should not do, but I am here to say that when these kind of things take place, we need to start asking ourselves, what is our next step? Because sitting and continuing to accept it, or even bringing yourself down to whatever level that person is on and starting to cut on yourself because they have open wounds, it's not acceptable and it's not justifiable, because at the end of the day, you deserve to have that love, that happiness, that support, that sunshine that you want to have. And that person deserves it too. But they have to make the decision for themselves, just like you have to make the decision for yourself. And so there's going to be moments in your life, in business, in friendship, and in relationships, where people will say and do things because they are coming from an unhealed place and they are seeking your response. And so when I talked about toxic behaviors, I'm really talking about them trying to get a reaction out of you. So it's that friend that, instead of them just directly stating what it is that you're doing that's bothering them, they're going to start saying passive aggressive stuff, or they're going to start doing passive aggressive stuff. They're going to say things to try to get under your skin. Um, I had a time when, I hadn't seen a friend in a long time. And, we make jokes and stuff like that, but I had been working. I had a lot of things going on in my personal life, and they kept calling me Big Shot, but it
Big
wasn't
shot.
like Big Shot. Oh yeah, Big Shot now, big time now. You busy now. You can't see anybody now. You don't have time for anybody now. And at first, the first time, I was like, hey, hee, 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 hee. But then after about like two or three times, I'm like, I see. I see what you're wanting here. You're wanting a reaction. You're wanting dialogue, and you're not going to get it because I'm not going to award you for passive aggressive behavior, petty passive aggressive behavior. And I'm not going to bring my spirits down to where you're at. Because had you came to me from a place of actually wanting to have a conversation and saying, I really miss you, or, I'm going through some things in my life and I just feel like I need your support, or whatever the case may be, as your friend, I might have my own emotions, but I'm going to do my best to process what you're telling me and see what I can do. I can't do everything. I can only do so much, and I'm never going to try to do more than what I can, and I'm never going to commit to more than what I can. But if there's something that you mentioned that I can do that does not harm me, or, create an unrealistic expectation that I can't maintain, then I am willing to work on that and I'm willing to change that. But like I said, realistic expectation that I can maintain, because I don't want to say, oh yeah, I can do that, and then not be able to follow through and maintain it. And now you're looking at me like that scraggly friend who always says she's going to do something and then never does it. I don't want to be that. So I want to be honest with myself and I want to be honest with you. Um, so long story short, had I received that level of a conversation in a space where we're sitting down talking to each other one on one, instead of in spaces where you clearly see that I am working on stuff for my business, I'm tending to other people, there's things going on, functions, events. Do you really think this is the time to be doing this? Big shot, big money.
So you were able to recognize what was going on there, that there was a behavior that was bleeding over onto you.
Hmm.
What is the cause when people choose to ignore those signs? When you recognize it, but you say, I'm gonna keep giving them a chance, and you just choose to ignore that flag, that red flag, or that
Hmm.
behavior, and continue on. What's the cost in it for someone?
Your peace. I mean, you're whether you ignore it and you act like you didn't see it and you continue to give this person the key to doors that they've shown you they're not worthy to be inside of, or you address it in the way where you're giving them what they wanted. You're giving away your peace with both of those actions. So you have to decide on what makes sense for you. Because I knew that's the thing. It also depends on the situation. What I guess how high the cost is in this situation. The individual, I knew what they wanted. You wanted some level of attention or like a dialogue, combined with you wanted to get off your chest what you were feeling in a passive aggressive way because that's how you're feeling. And instead of just saying, hey, this is how I feel directly, privately, one on one, you waited until it's an environment where you see me moving around trying to get things done and accomplish stuff for my business to be having this level of banter. You know what I mean? It's a very sabotaging thing to do, because me personally, had it been the shoe on the other foot, if they had an event or something that they were doing, or that they were speaking at, I'm not going to be at the event. Hey, hey, big shot at your event just because I haven't seen you or just because we don't talk. I'm going to say, hey, I'm proud of you. Good job. I'm going to clap for my friend. Even if me and my friend are going through something in public, we're not going through anything. When people look at us, we are happy, dandy, let's go, And when we sit down in private, oh, yeah, I'm going to tell you about yourself. If it's something that I really feel like you've done to me, but I think I'm a different kind of friend than people are to me sometimes, because I don't care about how long it takes for a person to get back to me. I care about your loyalty to me as a friend and your integrity as a person. If you are a good person, and if I know that when I am in your presence, you have my best interest at heart, and when I'm not in your presence, you still have my best interest at heart, then you are a friend to me. If you support me where you can, then you are a friend to me, just like I support you where you can. If you tell me something is important to me that you want me to be a part of, I'm going to do my best to show up. I'm going to do my best to be a part of it on some kind of level. If I can't go, I'm sharing it with everybody. If I can't, if nobody that I know can be there, I'm promoting it here. I'm just going to do my best to put my best foot forward and roll up my sleeves and get to work where I can. And everybody's at different spaces in their life. But in my situation, that doesn't bother me. And I still support a person the same way I supported them if I saw them 5 months ago, 10 years ago. The last time we talked, we were friends. That means we're friends today. So I'm not going to pop up at your event, Tiffany, and be big shot. We're not doing that. So in that situation, I would have cost myself my peace and my productivity had I responded in the way that I think that person was wanting me to respond, which was, why do you keep calling me that? Or are you okay? Or why do you keep saying that? Or I haven't been that busy. Or I talked to you. I checked in on you. You're wanting attention just like a child wants attention when they throw a temper tantrum.
I'm just gonna say that.
So
Yeah.
I wasn't willing to pay that price because I'm clearly in the middle of delivering stuff. I'm in the middle of delivering speeches. I'm in the middle of providing products. I don't have time to play with you. So I just looked at the individual and then continued doing what I was doing. And they probably thought I was crazy because they're like, okay, she didn't say nothing. We just gonna keep moving. Yeah, we just gonna keep moving because you don't have nothing to talk about with me, obviously. So I just continued on what I was doing and had a productive day and did not speak of it, did not think about it for the rest of that evening, probably for the rest of my life if I wasn't on this podcast. But because I'm on this podcast, I'm sharing it as an example for other people on how sometimes you have to recognize those toxic behaviors. And it is a toxic behavior to have a harboring feeling towards a person. And instead of telling them what it is that you're feeling, you start to say and do things that are passive aggressive or aggressive in their spaces of vulnerability or in their spaces of productivity. I see you working on your business. I see you working on the computer, and that's the perfect time for me to come up and say something passive aggressive or slick to you and pull you out of your productive zone because I want your attention. And I don't know how to just say I want your attention because I didn't receive that growing up and I didn't understand how to have that dialogue. And that may not be that person's story, but it is a lot of people's stories, and they're bleeding, their wounds are open, and you have to decide, is it going to get on me? Am I going to start cutting myself because of it? Or I'm going to accept that this is somebody who's bleeding and I'm going to lead them or push them in a direction where they can go get that support or go about my way and continue to work on myself. And then the other thing of it, like pretending like you didn't see it, the cost of that is your peace. Sometimes the cost of that is your life. There are people who have lost their lives going out of the country with people that they thought they were
Yes.
friends. There are people who have gone on boat rides and did not come back home, and their parents had to get calls from the news that they are no longer living, and nobody knows how. And it's a mystery. We don't know. You know why? Because there were signs in the beginning sometimes from those friends, quote unquote friends. They had passive aggressive things to say. They had little slick jokes. They didn't have any respect for your family members or your parents. They joked around a little too much when they were around people that were clearly important to you, and you ignored it and you tee-heed onto whatever trip, boat, or wherever. And that's not always the case for. I'm not calling anybody out specific, but I'm saying there are people out there who did ignore it and they did not come back home. So we can look at it from a peace standpoint, but we can also look at it from a livelihood standpoint. You cannot
Yes.
afford to ignore when a person starts to do things that are sabotaging towards your goals, your dreams, or your spiritual or mental health. So even if you continue to speak to that person, you had better know where they need to be spoken to. So we can speak about life and about the birds and the bees and the weather outside and how things are going and just chippy cheery conversations. But when it comes to me being vulnerable about things that I'm going through or something that I'm experiencing on a deeper level, you may not get a notification about that. You may not know. You may not find out until after everybody else finds out. And that's because I have to put you in that place of this is the box that you are supposed to be in. And sometimes it's
Mm.
people that are close to you, and sometimes it's people that are not close to you. It could be your friend, it could be your best friend, it could be your family member, it could be a stranger, it can be an acquaintance. At the end of the day, the label that we place on them is irrelevant to their actions. We want to give people the right label, but if they have a label and they are not acting in that label is now void. Like we can't, oh, that's my friend, or that's my homie, or that's my girl, or that's my sister, or yeah, all of that stuff. Once you see the signs that they show you, you just have to believe them. And it is a very hard experience because even for me, um, I'm such a passionate person when it comes to the people that I care about. When they have
Yes.
businesses, when they have dreams, I care about everybody that enters my life. And I've always felt a sense of responsibility for a person when they enter my life, whether it's professionally or personally. And I used to feel like that was it was a downfall. But in reality, it's my strength. It's just that I had to learn how to harness it and use it properly. And when you are someone who is passionate and loving towards everyone that enters your life and you automatically want people to win, that's my thing. I automatically want you to win. When I meet you, I'm automatically excited for you. Whatever it is you're doing, I want to know more about it. Whatever you're trying to achieve, I want to send you some resources to help you get there. Whoever you're trying to meet, I want to get you in the room with that person. I want to connect you. I automatically want you to do well when I meet you. And I start off that way with everybody that I meet. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people out there with open wounds, and some of them with open wounds and with ill intentions. And that's a bad combination. And it hurts when you see this in somebody that you care about. I've talked to you about this one on one, Tiffany,
Hmm.
but seeing how I can really go hard for someone, and then in the moments where they could go hard for me, or just even support me, or show up for me, or just complete the small ask that I'm requesting. It's not even money at this point. I'm asking you something, or I'm asking, can you do this? It's like it hurts them to do it. Um, and then also, I've seen where friends have said and done things that are really hurtful. I've had a person, and I've forgiven this person, so I'm not angry with them now, but to reflect back on hearing someone say to you, and that's why I didn't support you, because your business and your dreams aren't worth supporting. I didn't feel like it was worth it. And that's why I didn't do it. And that's why you don't have what you want for this. And that's why you weren't able to get those tools for that. You got to know, like, that hurts. Like, it doesn't hurt from a stranger. It doesn't hurt from a troll on the internet. When you're building with a person, or you think you're building with a person, and you're going hard for them. This is somebody that if they were selling water to fish, I'd be underwater with a snorkel on, modeling the water for the fish. That's the level of loyalty that I had for that person. Um, Even if they weren't in the room, I would promote whatever it was they were trying to achieve. I did it so much that people around me started to know of them and hadn't even met them yet. I did it in places I had no business doing it in. I'm over here soliciting on these folks' business. I'm not supposed to be soliciting these samples and stuff. They didn't pay me to come do this. So, that level of support that I have for you, to hear the words come out of your mouth, that's why I didn't support you, because your stuff wasn't worth supporting. You hear
Wow.
stuff like, and it just hits you differently because you it clicks for you. Wow, this whole time that I've been going hard and always being in your corner, and everything that I say and do, even how I feel about the people around you, comes from a place of wanting to protect you, wanting to see the best for you. And you are comfortable enough to say that. And it's not to say that person never did anything for me, because they did things for me. But to know that you could even have the ability to say that, it means you could have
It's
done
different.
more and you didn't. It means you watched, because you did. You watched and you waited. And this was the moment when you said that. And that hits like no other, when you think somebody is in your corner and you barely even let people in your corner like that anyways. Um, Having moments where I have protected or supported people and protected them like a mother would, almost. Because when I am friends with a person, or even when I care for a person, I think of them the way their mother would think of them. When I have events, I make sure every single last person leaves and gets to their vehicle. I send out messages that tell people, "Hey, did you get home safely? Everybody let us know in the chat." I don't have to do that. I don't have to, because I'm responsible for creating the event. You get here, you go home, just like any other event that you do. Many
Yeah.
people go to events. When you go to an event, Tiffany, the owner of the event or the host doesn't send you a message and say, "Hey, did you make it home?" Or, "Hey,
They
everybody,
not
get home when
studying
you're."
you.
Even when you're even when you're a vendor at events, they don't send out a group message and say, "Hey, did you
Mm-mm.
make it home safely? I hope everybody got home." Now, I'm not saying that I do every single, I mean, I try to do it every single time with every single person that I can, but I can't do it all individually because it's a lot of people. But I go into these group chats that I've created for people to connect. "Hey, I hope everybody made it home. Hey, I hope everyone's doing well. Hey, these are things that I don't have to do, but because I was raised a certain way and I have a certain level of love in my heart, it's always a part of me, even when you can't see it, because everybody sees me in different lights depending on where they met me and how they met me and what our relationships are. But it's always embedded in me. So to have that level of wanting the best for people and looking out for people, like I'm that safe person that if you were going through something or if you were out somewhere and you weren't feeling well or something was off, you want to be in my car. So that's the type of integrity that I have. And to have that for people who could care less about what happens to me or what's going on with me, it can be a very disappointing feeling. I recently just had this happen where uh, people that I will stick up for, they don't even know I'm sticking up for them, will be so excited about someone doing something to me. Oh, ooh, what happened? Ooh, you're so excited about it. You salivating at the mouth. Look at you. And I'm over here supporting you, helping you, going hard for you. Even on days when you don't realize it, I'm thinking about ways to help us get to a better place. And you're not someone that I'm dating on a romantic level. You're not someone that I was born with by blood. You're just someone that I care about on that level. People that I've made sure got home, drove home, checked in on, because I know they have a mother and they have a family. And I'll never be that person to call somebody's mom and say, "I don't know where they are. Last place I saw them was outside the shop." I'll never have to make that call in my life ever, because I'll sit with you. I will get you to where you need to be. I will call somebody for you, even if it's got to be somebody you didn't want to come. But that's the level of looking out that I have for people. So when you have that level of looking out for people, and then you experience the way that they see you and how what their intentions are and how disruptive they are internally because of their own unhealed situations, it can be a very discouraging feeling, and it can be very easy to want to give them that reaction that they so desperately want from you, and it can be very easy to want to just treat them or other people the way that you are being treated. Like, you know what? Forget you. I don't care about none of you. It can be easy to do that. But how you get away from becoming that person is what we talked about earlier, which is you pay attention to how much it costs for you to react certain kind of ways. I know this is going to cost me a lot of peace if I keep pretending like you're my friend and you're not. You keep doing stuff to me that's kind of weird. And if I keep acting like you're my friend and I keep giving you friendly access, "Oh, hey, come out with us to my grand opening." I'm not inviting you to no grand opening. You can come after it's open, but you're not going to be there on the day because I need peace. You can come after, you can celebrate with me after, but in the making of greatness, you will not have access to that because I see what your capability is and I see that you are not healed. And I'm not going to play a guessing game of what version of you I'm going to get today. Am I going to get my friend, someone who supports me and wants the best for me and is my cheerleader? Or am I going to get somebody who has something passive aggressive to say or snarky to say because you're in a mood or because you're feeling petty or whatever the case may be? And some people feel like, oh, well, everybody gets in their feelings, everybody has moods, and that's fine. But you can't make other people's, your feelings somebody else's issue.
Mm-mm.
You just can't do that because you don't know how heavy whatever that is that they're carrying is going on. I got a lot of weight on my shoulders, and that's not a negative thing. I'm learning as someone who is responsible for a lot of things and a part of many different people and relationships and missions, that's not a negative thing. Sometimes you are entrusted with a great level of responsibility, but I have a lot on my shoulders. So when I look to my friend, I'm looking for somebody that I can go and give a hug and just lean on and rest for a moment, who sees me for who I am and how hard I work for people. And I get emotional when I talk about this because um, oftentimes when you are someone of that caliber, you're going to wait a long time before you meet someone who has that level of support for you. And it's not because there aren't people out there, it's simply because the higher quality that you're looking for, um, the longer you're going to have to wait sometimes. If you were wanting low quality, you could get that anywhere at any time. If you wanted friends that aren't really your friends, who laugh at you, talk about you behind your back, or they're petty and messy, you could get that everywhere because people are addicted to that sometimes. That's a society we live in. But, that level of, I'm tired, I want to rest. I've been working, I want to play. I've been analyzing, I want to breathe. That's what I'm looking for in a friendship. And if I come to you and every time I associate with you, it's something dusty, I'm not giving you that access. Because that's
Dusty?
dusty behavior. I'm over here trying to build something big, not just for me, not just for my family, for my clients, for the people around me. I'm working extremely hard day and night, whether you see it or not. The nights when people are resting, I am up until 4 a.m. in the morning processing things, making sure the stuff runs smoothly. The nights when people are sleeping and enjoying themselves, I am up thinking of ways to make things easier for people in my community, for my clients. So for me to have that level of dedication to this mission, and then in the moments where I should be able to rest or lean on you or celebrate with you this hard work that I've been working through, you're talking about something, hey, big shot.
No.
No. And again, you don't know what people are carrying, and I should not have to tell you that I'm carrying this for you to treat me with appreciation. That's another thing that I just don't agree with that we sometimes do. You can communicate, hey, I'm busy, I got a lot going on, which I have communicated to that individual and more. But I should not have to tell you that, hey, I got a lot on my shoulders for you to not want to put stuff on my shoulders. I shouldn't have to tell you that. I shouldn't have to tell you I got a lot of heaviness right now for you to be light and not try to bring heaviness to me. Why do we have to wait until someone is on the ground, begging and pleading to say, oh, she needs some support or she needs some words of encouragement? Why do we wait until people are no longer existing and alive to acknowledge them for the greatness that they do, or for the things that they are capable of, or for the talents or the intelligence that they have, or for the vision that we see in them, or for the way that they have inspired us? Why do we wait until people are in the ground to give them their flowers, or to say that we want to now give love, or to now be a friend or be a supporter? I don't want to wait until my friend, my client, my anybody in my environment is on the ground in a fetal position to now say, here's some love. I don't want to wait.
That's it.
I'm not saying you got to be responsible for being someone's everything, because I don't think anybody should do that. I think that's unhealthy. But when I interact with you, whether it's once a year, once a month, once a day, I want to be responsible for bringing some light to your life, not the heaviness that you probably already have to carry. Because again, you just don't know what a person is going through. So, I shared like probably like 5 billion lessons in that one message. But but back to your original question and my original statement about what does it cost you, and it could cost you anywhere from your peace to your life to your livelihood to your dreams, because I've seen people accept the wrong friends and miss out on their dreams. Get in the wrong vehicle with a person who does not care about your future and be behind bars for life.
Yeah.
Sip the wrong cup from a person who never cared about your well-being and you getting home, and wake up in a place that you don't even recognize. It can cost you a lot ignoring those signs. And it's one thing if you can't see them. And I don't think anybody should be shamed for either. You shouldn't be shamed if you saw them, because at the end of the day, we are learning, we're growing. So there's no point in dwelling on it. It's time to move forward on what the next step is, and just be grateful that you are alive and have the ability to move forward. But whether you saw them or you didn't see them, when the signs are there, try to be more attentive to them and try to be more accepting of them, because it can be very dangerous. So, yeah.
Very dangerous, of course. And I mentioned at the beginning that you are the CEO of BossBayBlog.com, and You have a directory. So
Mhm.
you speak with many business owners. You coach many business owners. And so my next question would be, how have you seen, I think you touched on this earlier, but not having, how does unhealed behaviors, toxic behaviors, bleed over into your business? Because a lot of people are building businesses nowadays. I know I'm new. That's why I got under you, and I want some insight, help. I want to be able to grow, and I want to grow with someone who's already there.
Mhm.
So if you're not working on yourself, not even
Yeah.
just recognizing someone else, have you seen that bleed over into building or rebuilding a business, showing up, visibility? Can it bleed over into that as well?
1,000%. Absolutely. Yes. And yes, a million times over. Um, and I say this because having a business, and I just got done talking about this with someone. A lot of times people want that label or they have that dream, but they don't understand the level of development that is required in order for you to be successful in that business. And if you have issues from childhood or from toxic work environments or from wherever, they will bleed over into your relationships. And a lot of people seek external validation, and that is a huge, huge, huge opportunity for healing and growth with a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of people in general. It's not just entrepreneurship, but this is a gem for anybody that is thinking about becoming an entrepreneur or is an entrepreneur and currently struggling with getting out of their comfort zone or gaining sales or seeing growth and momentum. A lot of people move based off external factors, and that comes from an unhealed place. And if you don't have a consultant, a counselor, a therapist, a life coach, someone that is constantly helping you and supporting you in those areas, it will bleed over into your business. And it can also ruin really great relationships as well. And I'll give you a few examples. So I remember that I had someone who was talking about wanting to work together. And I was like, okay, great. Just fill out a collaboration form. We'll get back with you. We'll let you know if it's a good fit. So this individual filled out a collaboration form. There was not much detail. And that's part of the reason why it was not approved, because I need detail. And there's differences. Or if you're looking for collaboration for someone to think of for you, like when you say collaborate, you're saying I need help with actually designing it because I don't have any ideas yet. We got to brainstorm together. That's something that has to be said. But if you already have an idea of what you're wanting to do for this collaboration and you have a layout of what's required and things like that, that's different. When you want someone to brainstorm with you and collaborate, there's nothing wrong with that, but it requires more energy and time and effort. So you have to be transparent about that in business, especially when people don't always have the resources or the manpower to do that all the time. You need to come with what you already know. Like, hey, I got a clothing business and I want to collaborate with you. I need you to wear my clothes. I'm going to give you some clothes for free. And in exchange, I need you to post 10 photos. You really need to sit down and think about what you want out of something and what you're willing to give and come with that list. Send it to somebody, let them review it, and either they're going to approve it or they're going to give you some feedback. But a lot of people don't even know where to start, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the entitlement of thinking that because you don't know where to start, someone's just going to magically guide you to it, that's a little entitled and unfair. So this individual did not give any information like detail, like, okay, what's your website? What is the name of your business? What percentage? When you say you want to give this, what is the exact percentage? What does this price normally cost? What should I expect and what should I, be ready to give? None of that was provided. So the collaboration was denied. Um, Upon denial, there was also information sent out about, hey, if you can send X, Y, and Z. The individual read the message, but they didn't actually respond to the message. And there's nothing wrong with that because sometimes people read stuff and then they don't get back to you and whatnot. But I've seen many times where a person read something and they didn't respond back to it, but then they come back asking for other things. So it's like in the moment, you were upset because you didn't get your way or you didn't get what you thought you were going to get.
Mm.
And so your behaviors were performative, like you communicating and having a conversation and having that pleasantry. That was all because you thought you were getting something. And that is when someone is motivated by external factors. A lot of people have to focus on being motivated internally and build a level of integrity to where no matter what is going on outside of you, you are always known for something. So even if you don't get what you want out of this, you are known for something. When I reach out to people about things, which don't do it as much now, but if it happens through me or through my brand, anyone on my team is always told and instructed that if they say no or if this does not work out, you are going to give them complimentary resources. You're going to send them somewhere where they can get something for free, some level of richness, even if they do not want this, because that is my integrity. Even if we're not a great fit, even if you feel like it's too expensive, even if you don't like it, okay, cool. I got free stuff. That's a combination of integrity as well as having boundaries, because in the past I would give people so much even when they were not willing to pay for something, or they wanted a discount, or they wanted this, or they just kept trying to pull and pull, and I didn't have enough to give them. When it came to that, I needed an investment. Um and I kept trying to support and help people, and they really just were being stingy with their money and their funds, because some of them had the funding to pay for the service, but they just didn't do it because I kept giving it to them for free. So of course, if I'm giving you complimentary things and you're not having to pay, why would you pay? So,
Hmm.
those are things that we had to ask ourselves. Now, that's not to say I didn't have investments. Like, hey, free service here, try this out, give me a review. I've done that. But it's a different level when you start bending over backwards in ways that you can't afford to bend over backwards, because you are wanting or hoping that, hey, they're going to see the value in this. So I had to stop bending over backwards, and I had to ask myself, where can I pause and meet somebody in the middle, or meet them halfway? I cannot give you free marketing, advertising services, and consultations. I cannot. But what I can give you is free resources if you want to come and be interviewed on a show. By being interviewed, you automatically get to experience certain things, and you get information that you might not have known before. So I can give you that. I cannot give you a free website, but I can give you a place where you can go get one for $100 or $200 or less. I cannot give you free services. I can't go live for you all the time, but I can give you this ebook that's $2.99 to learn 30 ways you can sell better online. And sometimes they're free and
Makes
sometimes they're
sense.
paid and sometimes they're lower price point. But having those boundaries, that really helped me. And once I realized that it didn't have anything to do with anybody else, it had to do with what Catan needed to work on and heal, which was that need to hope that someone's going to see that value professionally. Um, and also that fear of not wanting to be a hindrance to someone. So I said, oh, I can, that's okay. Yeah, well, we can do, I worked on that internally. So when I got into business with other people, I don't have any external validation. I'm not motivated by if you like me. I don't care if you like me. And that sounds really harsh. Somebody probably like, oh my God. But you got to not care, because when you care about people liking you, you lose sight of your true calling, because you're so focused on if they like you and if it's okay and if it's, if it's all right and if it's polite enough and if they'll understand it and if they'll misunderstand it. And then you lose sight of what you are supposed to be doing on this earth, what you were truly called to do. So, in that process, I started to understand that. And by doing that, nothing is external. I've had people try to offer me terrible deals because they thought that I was motivated by the external factors. They thought because they had a lot of followers, I was going to be like, oh, you have a lot of followers? Okay, 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 I'll do it for free. No, I don't care. The followers is alone is not what's going to make me do it. You being popular alone is not what's going to make me do something. Where is it beneficial for me, and where is there a mutual benefit here? And if it's a service where I am doing labor, I'm going to need to get paid somehow, whether it's monetarily, whether it's you're providing something exclusive for everybody in my community. And even then, those are limited, because if it doesn't align with how much value I'm providing, then I just can't do it. And I got to that point, and guess what? When you get to that point, people who actually value you, you know what they do? They pay. And they're not, asking you 30 questions every time they make a payment. Hey, well, can I get an extra little something, something? Can you hook me up with a little something, something when you. That's not the case. They make the payment, They inquire about the services. They may from time to time want to refresh on the benefits, but they pay you because they see the value in you. And you can't get to that place until you heal whatever you got going on internally, so that you can know that you are worthy of that value and you can learn how to communicate. Because for me, I've always known that there was something in me. I've always had that heart. I've always had that fight, that bite in me. It's just learning how to communicate it peacefully and with grace so that I'm not being hostile when someone else doesn't see it. I had to work on that. I had to perfect that. And in the process of doing that, I developed a calmness, because now if a person's like, well, I'm just not sure I think it's valuable enough for me. Okay, no problem. Well, here's my card. Here's the website when you're ready. I'm thinking about spending money, but I need you to go through some things with me and tell me now what's gonna be in it for me. Go ahead, give it to me. Tell me what you got. Oh, you want a consult? Of course. We have complimentary discovery calls. Here's a link. Set one up. I'm eating crawfish right now. Bye. We're not doing the tap dancing stuff. Like, you do that a lot when you don't have that. And then what happens is when you tap dance and then you don't get the applause, you're now angry. And you're angry at the audience, and you're angry at the people who were thinking about coming to pay to see you, and you're angry at yourself, and you're angry at the production. It transfers and that energy spreads. But when you dance and you perform simply to produce art, all falls into place. And that is where you have to have that internal validation, not to feel the need to tap dance, to change, or alter certain things simply because you're wanting other people to do a certain thing. Um, that is a part of healing. That is a part of self awareness. And so I've had times where people will get upset, they get angry, or just, oh, they just not gonna respond. I had one person, she just ignored my little assistant, my little help, just ignored her. My poor assistant didn't respond, but then came back
Leave it in
and,
the
and wanted
program.
wanted to take advantage of something that we had going on in the future. But you just weren't responsive, and you were upset because you didn't get what you thought you wanted, or what you felt like you needed. But sometimes things are not the right fit, and you need to let them be the wrong fit, so you can find the right fit and stop trying to push and force things into play, because that's just not life. That's not genuine relationships. That's not real foundation. So that's one area. Another area is feeling the need to be seen and to feel the need to be validated. That can rub off to people the wrong way. um I had a time where a person was like, yeah, I think I like what you do. um I think I want this and that. Oh, okay, wonderful. Well, here's the benefits, and here's all the information there, and here's the link. Send a message if you have any questions, and we'll make sure to assist you. Send me a DM. I'm not sending you a DM. I'm not going to them DMs, because Lord knows what's in them DMs and if I'll make it out of there the same way I went back in. So no. I've had times where people try to dangle something, like they dangle the carrot over, I might consider you for this. What's your number? What's your personal number? Yeah, yeah, let's get together. Oh, let me give you my business number. This is where you can be assisted. When you have not healed and someone tells you that and they set a professional boundary, you take that personally and you internalize that. And I've seen where people have gotten offended by that because they feel like, I should be able to DM you. I should be able to talk to you on your personal number. I should be able to call you whenever I want. You should answer me whenever I need to. And so, how dare you not give me what I'm asking for of you? But in reality, if you were being here to get a solution, then you don't care about any of that. You want to know, where do I go to get this service and the information? And when I give it to you, you're going to take it, you're going to absorb it, and you're going to decide if you want to buy or you don't want to buy. That's what most clients do. Whether they end up spending with me now, later, or never, that's what they do. You were wanting attention. You were seeking validation. You were wanting something outside of what I am serving at Boss Babe Blog. We do not serve false validation, external validation here at bossbayblog.com. We serve marketing, advertising, community resources, support. That's what we serve. But a lot of people are just moved by external. So when they don't get what they think they should get, it hurts their ego. And when you have that kind of um, issue with control, like everything needs to go this way, and if it's not that way, you get overwhelmed and you just say, well, forget it all. You miss out on really great opportunities in relationships. I've had so many partnerships that came from a conversation that initially didn't go the way that I thought it was going to go. I had times where I was like, hey, I got this. And they were like, no, I don't think I can do that. And I wasn't like, block, you know, I just said, okay. Like, that is a issue because social media has made it so easy for us to do that whenever you get upset with somebody when things don't go well. I'm not saying some people aren't worthy of a good block. I'll never say that. But sometimes people just don't agree with you. Sometimes you have different perspectives, and that's okay. You don't have to try to force somebody to live how you live, and you don't have to try to give somebody a whole lesson and lecture and try to make them see what you feel they should see because their life and their business is different. Live and let live. And you can't do that when you're not healed and you have a need for control. So, when they did that, I said, okay, well, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you. Now, do I have boundaries? Yes. I can be nice to you, but no, we're not sitting and having free consultations all day long. And, no, 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 no. I have boundaries. These are services that need to be paid for. I did offer a collaboration. You weren't interested. That's okay. And you can meet me at the events and you can sign up for the resources and we can chat at a networking room. But I have boundaries. Um, because sometimes people get that mistaken. But my level of grace and understanding and acceptance of someone else's choice and free will, it has expanded in ways that I'm very appreciative for. And that's not to say that I haven't had little moments where I say, now, wait a minute. But then I always correct myself and say, people have the choice to do what they want to do, when they want to do it, how they want to do it. And a life of trying to go and correct everybody and tell everybody what they should do is exhausting. It's draining. It is non-serving to your spirit and to your gift because your gift and your calling is meant for a certain kind of person, and that person is going to see it. You don't have to convince them of the value of it. So, spending time on someone who is clearly directly telling you they don't see it, that's a waste of time. You have to learn how to appreciate authenticity, appreciate directness and honesty because that usually comes from people who are not moved by external validation. I had a blog and I said, the best kind of friends are the ones that don't need you. The ones that look out for themselves first are the best kind of friends. You know why? Because they're going to get it regardless. So they already know whether you are here or not, I'm going to get it. So that means when I tell you something, I'm telling you this because it's the truth, not because I need you to be here, not because I want you to be here, not because I crave your acceptance. Those are the best kind of friends to have. And I've even had to tell that to some of my friends that I've met, like when in the earlier stages. They're like, well, are you sure that it's I don't have time to lie to you. I don't. Number one. Number two, why would I lie to you? But
That's what people are used to.
they're used to that. They think that, and it's true, they're used to that. They think that people are looking for validation. I am gonna go out here and I'm gonna get what I need for myself, you with you beside me or without you beside me. So when I tell you that your breath might be a little off a little bit, I'm gonna say it in private because you're my friend. I want you to say it to me in private. But when I tell you that, I want you to know I'm not lying to you. And there's no motivation. I'm not trying to make you feel insecure. I'm not trying to play any games with you. There's no mind games. There's no motivation. Because if you get angry and you walk off and say, well, I'm not your friend, as long as I know that I did it the right way and I wasn't trying to embarrass you or be funny or backhanded, I'm not going to feel any kind of way about you walking off and saying that you don't be my friend. If that's what you choose to do, that is your free will.
That's what you
So
choose.
and that's why I say you got to get around people who have that level of directness about them, not harshness and not cruelty, because there is a difference. But directness, you got to get around those kind of people because it will help you to see things that maybe you didn't expect. And when you are unhealed, those kind of people rub you a little bit the wrong way. Instead of saying, like, okay, maybe she didn't like that. I'll take that feedback. Or, okay, maybe I need to look for a different type of audience because her audience likes this and I'm looking for someone that likes that. Cool. Keep it moving. You don't have to get angry. You don't have to block anybody. People do that all the time. Another area of not being healed, Tiffany, or even just carrying toxic traits and not being aware of it. not having that self-awareness is the instant gratification, the need for instant gratification in business. People will think that they're supposed to get a response or a solution within 30 seconds of filling out a form. Within 20 seconds of writing their business name down, they are now supposed to be a millionaire. And it's a bit of a toxic thought process, because anything in life that we see that's great, it came from something. That beautiful grand tree was once a seed. It didn't just, you blinked and then there's a tree in front of you. Those millionaires, those people that have been in this business world for years and years, they started off with nothing. A lot of them, many of them, didn't have anything but a room, sometimes a garage, sometimes a car. There are professional comedians who have talked about living out of their vehicle. So for you to think that you're just supposed to instantly have all of that, it's not normal. And in many cases, when someone is selling that to you, run, because you're either about to lose your identity legally, they're about to take your information, you're about to be scammed, this is not real, or you're going to build your life off of thinking that things are supposed to be instant, and that's not the reality. But social media sells that to us. um AI marketing sells somewhat of that to us, depending on who's selling the marketing. But instant is not always good. Sometimes instant can be great, but in many cases, instant is not always good. We need to focus on building step by step and having patience. So when you're unhealed, you do that. And then there's another area where when you're unhealed in business, it trickles into other areas. And it's the cattiness and the messiness. Sometimes people are messy and they intentionally go out of their way to do and say messy things. And if you're a messy person in personal life, when you have a business, you are a distracted business owner, because you lack the ability to zone in on what needs to come from this. What is a solution that I am seeking, and how am I going to get to the next level of making money? Everything else is a distraction. And I've had to reset some of my clients in moments of distractions, or being around people who are distractions, and that is how they move, because it is contagious. So if you're around people that are like that, eventually you start to pick up some of those traits. But
So true.
we don't need to be spending 30 minutes talking about why Sally posted that funny flyer on her page. We don't need to spend 30 minutes talking about that. 30 minutes, we don't be spending that. And if you come to me with that level of time, I'm going to ask you, what are you working on yourself? Like, what plan do you have? What are we doing to make money for ourselves? We don't need to be spending 50 minutes talking about how somebody's website was funny looking, or how this didn't make sense. Your website better be on point. Like, if I gave you homework, I'm expecting that with this conversation, you probably got all of that done times 10. So when I ask you, hey, did you get that content created? Hey, did you schedule that? If you say anything outside of yes, absolutely, I did it 5 times, I'm looking at you crazy. Because the amount of time that we spend on worrying about other people outside of ourselves is unhealthy. And a lot of people do that, and they do it, it consumes them. It slowly starts to consume them. So if you're not healed internally and you thrive off of seeing other people not do well, it will translate into business, and it will be hard to hide that. And there are some people where they are not healed. And then also, if you lack emotional awareness, I have seen professionals that had a bad day, they were going through something, and they took that out on other people. Just like if you're a customer and you're having a bad day, you walk into a mall, and let's say I try to return my bag that I got from a business in my directory for the year of 2026. So I go in and I say, "Hey, I need to return this bag." And she says, "Oh, you can't return it. Sorry, final sale." I've been having a bad day. I've been having a bad day. And I'm about to let loose that cannon all over you, because I haven't learned yet to differentiate, where I need to be upset. And that's a tool that a lot of people never get. So I'm taking out my anger on you. And in business, that can be the case. You can have a bad day and you can take your anger out on your clients, on your team, on your people, and it affects you in a negative way. You will start to see a decline. So you have to pay attention to that. You have to start to give yourself breaks. You have to Learn to deal with the things, the fires that are going on in your life, put them out one by one, but don't carry one fire to another area of your life where there is no fire. Um, Also, having the urge to want to be right all the time, leading with ego. That right there, Tiffany, I would say over anything, the biggest area is seeking false validation. So everything that they do is based off validation. And then the second one is having so much of an ego that you are unwilling to put down the micromanagement keys and hand it off to an actual expert.
Can't even grow
Ah,
like that.
you said what?
You can't grow. You cannot. It's gonna work for a while, but if you're not at a point where you can delegate or trust somebody else that they have more knowledge in an area than you have, and you're not gonna grow. You're gonna become stagnant because you're gonna be stuck in your own
Exactly.
little thing, your own thinking, and so
Exactly.
that's not that's not a good thing. So
No,
yeah,
exactly. And then on top of that, you have that other side that I was saying, that validation. That validation is just about being validated by, if you think someone's going to talk to you, someone's going to help you. Sometimes they feel validated when they have an audience. You have to have enough confidence in yourself to know, even when no one's looking, I am great. And I actually was writing about this where I said, when I first started going live, there were moments where I had 0 people on the live. There were days where I had 1 person on the live. There were days when I had 5 people on the live. Now, when I go live, I can have up to 30 to 80 to 100 people on the live all at once. The other day when I was going live, I had 40 people watching me, just watching the show. And I remember the days when I had nobody watching me. And I always knew that what I had to say was value. But when you don't truly believe that in yourself, you're going to wait for other people to watch you to start actually performing. And you can't do that because they're never going to watch you if you never perform. So that is another level of healing that people have to have in their lives to get that level of confidence. To even on my days when it's not the best, I'm going to make sure that I get out there and do it. And the negative self talk, if you come from a household or trauma where you are always putting yourself down, you have to get therapy, counseling, some outlet, coaching, something, because you need it. You need the person coaching, counseling, and then you need your business coaching and counseling. Because when you come to a business consultation to work on business, I can't have to be reminding you every 3 seconds to stop putting yourself down. There are times where I've had to say, hey, we're not going to do this today because space we're in, it requires reflection. And if I'm asking you, is there anything positive about what you're doing? And you're telling me there's nothing positive, you need to take a breather, or we need to do an emotional session because there's something in there that needs to be tended to that's not being tended to. So, not working on your healing and working on your overall mental health, it can really affect your business. It can affect your new business, how you talk to people, the type of manager you are. That micromanagement thing, like, huge. I used to have issues with that for a very short period of time because I had a leader like that, and that's what was modeled to me. But I quickly realized how hard it was for that leader to get people to do things for them, how stressed they were trying to make people do stuff that don't do it anyways. Um, I saw another leader where people did stuff for her without her asking. She got up and moved. Everybody moved with her. And I was like, that is the type. At the time, I thought it was power. Now, I realize it was impact. Because
man.
when you have that level of impact on people, they're going to move with you because they see the value and they see the mission. There's no amount of power that's going to get people to do that, like willingly. It's the impact that she had on these people in their lives that made them say, yeah, I work here, but since you're there, I'm gonna quit this job and move with you. You know how much impact you have to have on a person to make them quit a job, move with you? Um, never
A
understood
lot.
a lot. I couldn't
Yeah.
understand it. I couldn't understand it at that time. And I said, that right there, I need that. And as I grow, I started to experience. I experienced having to tell somebody that I'm leaving. them go so they can get more money at a different location in the same company. And they didn't want to leave. They wanted to stay and make less money just to stay working with me, and were disappointed with the news. They were sad, cried. Like when I told them, "Hey, I got you a position higher." Tears. That's impact. And do I want to make people cry? No. I have many tears. We've cried many tears at our soft girl Sundays. I'm not trying to make everybody cry. But the fact that it was sad and it felt like she was disappointed when I'm getting you more money and I'm getting you a raise, a lot of people would have been like, "Thank you, bye." You know what I mean? But in that situation, she didn't feel that way because she appreciated the work environment that I created for the team. The level of impact where you send your team members places and then they come back and say, "Please don't send me again." And I sent you so you make more money, but you rather just stay at the hours that you're at and work with me because you don't want to go other places. And it wasn't because I was a pushover, and it wasn't because I cared about people liking me. Like I said, it's just not in me. I think I cared about not being too harsh with people because you have to have that level of intensity sometimes to perform the way that I performed in areas in my life. You have to have that level of intensity, and it could be easy to have it and then realize, ooh, a little too hard there. So I was a little bit, weary. But in that time during retail, I was not easy. I wouldn't say I was a quote unquote, maybe I was easy to work with or work for, but it was required. Showing up to your job was required. So coming in, I dress code, coming in late, you weren't coming with a bad attitude, uh, or you can have a bad day, but you need to get off like you can shake off the umbrella from the rain, go and shake it off in the back and get on out here and let's make this money. So there was a lot of requirements and standards for working at my spaces. And on top of me having those requirements, I focused on the impact that I could make for my team. And that's why I had people who were crying when I was telling them that they were going to go somewhere else to make more money. That's why when I gave someone the option to make more, to get more hours and go work somewhere else, they said, "Please don't send me anywhere else. I'm fine with the hours that I have here." Because they didn't want the hours, because they did not like the structure. They did not like the environment. Because when you came to my location, all of my managers, all of my workers that were their employees, had a mailbox that I created by hand and put on the wall with everyone's name. And inside of each mailbox was a poem for them of appreciation and a reminder for them to keep going in whatever they were doing in life. So when they would go to their mailbox, when they came into work, you read your mailbox, I have a letter for you. And sometimes I had treats. And then I had a snack station so that you replenish throughout the day, and vitamins and that's good for you, because you just don't know what someone is going through when they go home. That's what my work environment entailed. So you're not getting any of that when you go work somewhere else in retail, depending on where you work. You're not getting all that. You're getting hello, go to the board, write your name down, walk in, let's have a good time. Free pizza. You're not getting all that stuff. So I knew, listen, you're just not. And sometimes people don't even appreciate it until it's gone. Because I had people that I worked with after I left that would send me messages and say, "I just want you to know I appreciate you," or "I hope well," because in those moments when I was hard on you, because I knew that you were capable of doing more, all you could see was me being transparent with you, and you saw it negative, but you didn't really appreciate the level of impact that I was going to have when I left. So impact, it can do a lot for you. And if you're not healing or working on yourself, you can't create impact because you don't have the ability to think about what other people are experiencing or how you can be better or what you can do better. You're trying to micromanage people when in reality, it's not about trying to make them do. It's about accepting part of healing again. Healing message learned, accepting that you cannot make anyone do anything in any area of your life. You cannot make them healthy way. And let me even say that you cannot make everyone do what you want to do. So you might be able to force this person, but you can't force those other three people at the same time. Okay? Unless you're some kind of mob boss, and I'm not doing that. So, you know, now if that's the case, then yeah, sure, sit down, choose. But in this situation, we're just a business directory and we're here to advertise and we're here to make people smile and give them solutions. So you can't do that in a productive light. You can't make people. And you won't learn that until you start to feel that need to be a manager within yourself. So I started working on that within myself. I started to come to the realization I can't make anybody excited. I can't make anybody want this for themselves. Make anybody do what I tell them to do. That person is going to have it in them before they walk through those doors or they're not. So when I bring people to my team, you already have it in you. I know that. You were going to do it whether I was there or not because that's your integrity. That's the type of worker you are. That's the type of person you are. That's your ethic. So it didn't matter if I said, hey, Tiffany, can you make sure to let everybody know that if they don't shop, it's okay. They don't have to shop. They can just go around. Because Tiffany is also a member specialist at Boss Bay Blog. It's a contracted position where you can go if you want some extra money, if you want to meet new people, network, connect people, you can do that. And so in this position, I don't have to say, Tiffany, person doesn't want to purchase the service, give them a resource. I don't have to worry. Tiffany's not going to do that. I know Tiffany's not going to get on the call and be like, if you don't buy from Boss Bay Blog, you'll never be a part of this community. Just, you know, some people do things like that because that's in them. When it's in a person, all you have to do is provide information and support. And once I healed that part of me that wanted to control, released, I found something that I never would have expected, which a tribe of people who bring so much richness and so much value without me prompting, asking. There's so many things I didn't even ask, didn't even direct, and they just do it on their own. And sometimes go above, not sometimes, go above expectations and just do more. And that's the type of person that I was. But I did it because it was in me. And I couldn't see that because for some reason I felt like I had to try to control. No, you have to be here at this time. If you don't show up, I'm going to call you. If you don't, stop calling these people. If they show up, replace them and move on to the next thing. Because they show up because they didn't want to be there, wanted to be there, they would have showed up. And you just got to let people be who they are, for what we talked about earlier, accept who they are, and place them where they're supposed to be placed. And if it doesn't align with where you're trying to go, where you're trying to be, don't try to force it. People are going to be who they are. And really big issue, Tiffany, that entrepreneurs have not healed their personal life. So they come into their business life trying to control everything and they end up hurting their brand. You're trying to control how your graphic designer or how your website designer creates the website, and you don't have any experience on website building. So you're telling them what they need doing, and you're not really speaking from a place of experience. So now the stuff that they're putting up just to make you happy is not as effective as what they would have put up to get people to understand who you are, click on something or make a purchase or subscribe to you. It's not as effective. You're trying to control things that you don't need to control. If you trust who you hire, let them do what they do and just see the magic take place. I, I got to shout out people, I got to shout out my clients who just let me do best because I let them do what they do. I know I'm not a pro in everything. I'm going to step to the side and let them do what they do. And I'm going to do what I do. And I have clients that they let me do what I do. I had one client, she asked me a couple questions. She was like, I don't know nothing about no websites. Just do it. Whatever you're gonna put up, just do it. And I and it was successful. And we generated traffic and we reached the goal. I have another client. She doesn't even ask me. I usually do like client updates with my clients, depending on what they've purchased. She doesn't care. She doesn't care. She doesn't care as long as the work gets done and she knows it's going to get done. So she doesn't even ask. And whenever we meet now, we're meeting more celebrations. We're not even like, we're really doing the coaching and consulting. That's just, it's a part of it, but not as much as it had to be in the beginning because she trusted me. So when I told her, hey, I think try this, she just did it. And then there was a shift, a positive shift. When I said, hey, I think you need to look into that, she just did it. And she said, I need you to handle this. I have a client who let me handle their social media, like everything. They don't touch anything on Facebook. And I gave them a community of over 3,000 members in this community in less than I think 6, 7 months. So that trust, it can go a long way. when you're working with people who have integrity. So you have to learn how to recognize a person with integrity. And when you recognize it and you see them exhibiting it, accept it for what it is and let them do what they do best. So, those are some examples. I have plenty more clients I could shout out that let me do what I do and then I bring them what they need. So, yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I love it. You dropped a lot of gems. And it
Yeah.
sounds to me, well, I know that you come from a place of being healed.
Yeah.
And I'm working on it. And that's
Thank
exactly why I wanted to, yeah, that's exactly why I want to be under you. That's exactly why I want the coaching. That's exactly why I want the consulting from you. As a first time entrepreneur, I definitely want to be under someone who has did the work, who has did the healing, quite frankly knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't put it either way.
Said knows what they're doing.
And I think that my healing journey is what caused me to want to step into entrepreneurship
Hmm.
and build a life coaching business. And I would encourage anyone, if you are on, I wouldn't say that you have to be all the way healed because I'm still healing from some
Yeah.
things. But I would say
Same.
that you do need to be in the process. And if you are, and if you're starting a business, or if you had a business that's just been sitting there on the shelf for a while, I would highly recommend getting you a consultant, getting you a coach, getting someone to help get your business out there. And I would highly recommend Miss Katan Paul of BossBabeBlog.com. I would. Definitely. Any
Thank
day.
you.
Any day. I would. Without a doubt.
Thank you.
Without a doubt.
I,
Oh, yes.
I
Um,
appreciate that, Tiffany, very much.
I really would. That's true. And I do have to go. I do want to thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. I am more than honored. Don't be a stranger. Please come back again. And
Absolutely.
y'all, I have been on her show too. Um, BossBabeBlog.com. I'm a big YouTuber. That's where but I think you're on all platforms, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
On all
YouTube,
platforms.
Facebook.
Yep.
Hmm.
Um, I just YouTube is like YouTube University, so I'm always there. So I always, anytime I'm joining your show, I'm on YouTube. Like in the audience, I'm on YouTube, and I always watch. So again, thank you
Thank you.
so very much for coming. Um, this definitely won't be the last time, and y'all, healing is so very important. Whether you're just starting, you're continuing, you're thinking about starting a business, you've been having a business, and you can't figure out why am I not taking off? Why? What am I doing wrong? You might need to look into healing.
Yeah.
So until do you have any other last words that you would like to say at all?
Um, just thank you. Thank you for allowing me to come on the platform. I would like to say that reminder that healing does not look perfect. Growth does not look perfect. So when you hear these things, don't automatically start over analyzing or focusing in on your imperfections. Just focus on being more aware and growing and elevating. And then also get around people who challenge you to do that, not people who make you feel comfortable being complacent. That's the biggest factor when it comes to healing and elevating.
All right. Well, again, thank you so very much. Y'all, if y'all see this, leave in the comments one thing that you will be doing to start your healing journey. And until next time, have a wonderful day.